Welcome to another episode of the Coach Love Show. And when I tell you, I got a man here that you want to know, you really do. He's done so much, and so much has happened in his life, but it is his will and it is his character that I really want to unfold for you. Mind you, he's been to jail. Mind you, he's been to college. Mind you, he has 6 kids and he has traveled with them through this whole journey. I'm telling you, it's going to take me more than one show to unpack this gentleman's life, but tonight we'll just get it on started. Welcome, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing well, Coach Love. How are you?
Look at you. You back there cheesing. You was like, who, me?
Right. I was just like, what have I done to deserve such a well-presented introduction? But, life is life, and this is what it looks like. So.
There you go. You have lived quite a remarkable life.
Yeah, I can, if I may say so myself, but I've been blessed through it all. And
I'm calling Lifetime, BET, the Oprah Winfrey Network. I'm calling them all because you got a little something for everybody. You really do.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I'm just here, and I'm just trying to practice humility on a daily basis, and just keeping God first, and just trying to figure out this life that He has, and the path that He's laid out for me, and I'm just, trying to go from there, and I'm just trying to be obedient, as obedient as I can,
There you go. Well, you better be obedient. You better be obedient.
Without a doubt.
Okay. So let me pull up for us the your show title. Okay. I'm gonna pull up your card. That's what we're looking at right now. And you just break this down. Look at you. You're like, oh wow, yeah, this is you. This is you. Okay, so we have this show card, and I want you to tell me about that guy that's at the bottom with the meme mug on. You see that meme mug? Hold up, there you go. Tell me about that.
Oh man, that guy right there was, he was just trying to find himself. He was someone that was, I'm from East St. Louis, Illinois. I grew up off 27th and State Street, and life. We can all say life ain't fair, and it's a lot of us that I'm sure that shares that same sentiment. But at that point in time in my life, I was kind of immersed deeply into the streets, and I was doing music. I had a record label going, and I had some illegal activity going, and it put me where I guess I needed to be at that time in order to manifest the rest of my journey. And that guy, he was about 26, 27 years old, and just trying to find his way. At that point in time, I'd been in the streets probably about 13 years. I started young, and just trying to find my way, and I also see a guy who was full of despair. I also see a guy who was just trying to make things right with himself. I was going through a lot mentally. At that point, I had, made up my mind that, the street life was going to either, make me or break me at that point. But I guess God saw fit for it to make me, And so after I ended up, going to prison, and I kind of, figured out that this is some, I wanted to change my life. I needed to, wasn't a bad kid, but.
Wait a minute. Hold on. We got to unpack a little bit more before we go all the way there. And dutifully so, everybody's asking me,
yeah.
What about your childhood? What led to all of this? So let's set the scene. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
First, tell us about your mom.
My mom was a good person, and she did the best she could. I grew up in a household with my grandparents, and I was one of them kids that I was always getting dropped off. My mom partied a lot, and rest her soul. She did the best she could being a single mother. But all of my uncles were in and out of prison. I grew up in the party household. We had card games, a lot of drug dealing going on in my neighborhood. My mom was on welfare throughout my whole life. So, I saw someone ask if I had an adverse childhood. Very much so. If you know anything about where I'm from, off 27th Street, that was a big area, largely known for, a lot of crime, a lot of murders got committed on that street, actually. Seen murders, just, it was just rough growing up,
I'm curious. How many murders do you think that you saw or heard very close to you, I'm just going to say before the age of 16?
Before the age of 16 in that neighborhood, 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
3 or 4 easy. And, I grew up in that lifestyle. We all carry guns. We all, that was, anybody who grows up in the inner city knows that, even if you have a gun, it's not like I'm looking to hurt someone. I'm just trying not to get hurt, and especially if you're trying to, do a few things on the side to make money. And we didn't have, there were times our lights were cut off, water was cut off. And a lot of people know me from over here on the east side. And so, whoever's watching this, whoever chimes in, they'll let you know if they decide to chime in and say things that, it was pretty rough growing up, and we just tried to make the best of it. And like I said, I was one of them kids. I was good in school, but I wanted things. I wanted things that everybody else had that I couldn't get, and only did it.
Turn me down a little bit on your end, and then I want to just set the scene for the folks so they know what East St. Louis is like. East St. Louis, it's a good place, but if you want it, it's there. Yeah. Whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want.
There. Whatever you want.
You want the smoke? We got the smoke. And I ain't talking about the smoke. I'm talking about you want problems? We got problems. You want drugs? We got drugs.
Right.
It's East St. Louis, and I can't help where I'm from, and I can't help who I am. And that's part of my journey, and I wouldn't trade it in.
It is Gotham City, is it not? Gotham City. It's Gotham City.
Yeah, it's hell.
You have some love, but you have some murder.
Yeah.
You have some fun.
You don't expect to make it, Coach Love. You just don't. That's the mentality. Right.
It's a lot of strip clubs, right? It's a lot of strip clubs.
Yeah, it's a lot of strip clubs. It's a lot of illegal activity. It's a lot of strip clubs. I mean, like you said, if you want it, you can find it there.
Government corruption, a lot of government corruption.
Yeah, we've had a history of that. There's also some good people in office too, but when you got a network, when you're working with a network, and the wheels are turning a specific way, it's either you play ball or you out.
Exactly. And so I want to point out there is certainly a bunch of good people there. Jackie Joyner Kersey is from there. All right. So there is good things going on, but I stress whatever you want, you can find it there. So if you want some real good, you can find some real good. Yeah. And if you want some real bad,
you can find some real bad.
You can find some real bad. Okay. So you grew up in this kind of, you cannot write East St. Louis and really make it real. You'd have to go there and know.
You have to be there to know it. You have to be there to know it.
So
Pity or no pity. That's what we call it.
there you go. You're going to get
Pity or
what you're
no pity.
asking for.
Yeah.
You're going to get what you're asking for.
Yeah.
So there is that. And then brothers and sisters, how was that for you?
I have one sister. She, my sister, we grew up, we weren't really close, but she was my sister. So, she was older than me, 3 years older than me. We had a great relationship, but, I wouldn't say we were close because my sister was way ahead of her time. My sister was one of them, she was young and she was out, in the streets as well. And, she just, my sister in 2000, she ended up having a stroke and she never recovered. So, she was pretty young as well. She was like 27 or 28. And at that time I was 25. And from that point, she has 2 kids, my nephew, Brandon, and I have a niece, Nakia. And, between my mom and myself and the rest of my family, my aunt, she, we all tried to play a role in just helping to raise her kids. And I have a brother my dad is from Brooklyn, New York. So my dad was born and raised in Brooklyn. I have a brother, he's been locked up the majority of his life. He did 20 something years and then he got out and he, a couple of years later, he went back to prison where now he's doing like 80 years. So, we've had this relationship, this long-term relationship from the penitentiary, just basically all of his life. So I got a lot of cousins. We're all pretty close. Grew up in in an environment to where, it's a lot of us, a lot of boys. And we were just trying to be as close as we can, just trying to survive through this city,
You want to know something? Angela, she grew up with you. Angela Johnson, she grew up with you. And she says, there are many amazing people that come out of East St. Louis. And
she's one of them. She's one of
them.
Dr. Johnson. Yeah, she's one of my mentors. She's been helping me along this journey as well. She has her PhD. She's so humble. Her mom was a school teacher. Funny story, used to walk Angela home from school and she never forgot that. And every time I see her, because Angie's her mom is white. They were the only white people staying in the neighborhood and everybody thought she was white. So I walk her home from school, just like a big brother, just to keep her safe. And she's real good people. And right now, she's been helping me, with getting my licensure. And, I consult with her and talk to her on different occasions about different things. And right now, as I'm trying to write my dissertation, I've been talking with her about that and, trying to get this thing, going so I can finish my doctorate up by next year and continue to add to this story,
That's beautiful. So what I'm sensing that you must have to be a East St. Louisan is resilience. That's
very much so.
You must have resilience. Okay, so let's move on down the line. We got your dad. He is from Brooklyn, you said, right?
Yeah, he's from Brooklyn. My dad was military. So, my dad never lived in East St. Louis. He, when he graduated high school, my grandma and them, they moved from Brooklyn, New York to here. And, when he came home from basic training is when he met my mom because my grandma's sister was already here. And my mom was friends with my grandma's niece. And so my dad is her first cousin and she kind of hooked them up. And that's how I, came about. They were married for about 4 or 5 years. I think we stayed in Fort Benning, Georgia when I was small, but after that they got a divorce and, about the time I was 4 or 5, we were back here. And so I'm public school system, Park Annex, Clark Junior High, East St. Louis Senior High, through my whole life, just St. Louis public school system. And, he's a good dude. I can't say anything bad about him. He had a career. He was in the military overseas. He remarried and he did his thing. And, I can't say one thing about when I left going to prison, he came through a lot for me. He helped out with the kids. He stepped it up a whole lot. So I'm grateful for that,
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I am seeing how it is that your mom fell into the situation where she fell into, because I know a lot of people know about divorce, but we know about divorce in the time of now.
Yeah.
and it's painful as it is. But to be divorced in that time as a woman, ooh wee.
Yeah. It
You,
was
you
hell. It was
with
hell.
two children,
Yeah.
that's a lot of your options are going away
Yeah.
at
And
that point.
all brothers. So, my mom didn't play the pity game with me. She was, I got cursed out a lot. I grew up hard, and anybody that knows me and knows my mom and our relationship, a lot of people, would say it was more like a brother-sister relationship, but I grew up real hard. And at some point, I didn't feel like, I had a decent upbringing, but it's just the circumstances, and the cards we were dealt, and we had to make it work. Like I said, my mom, she ended up, on crack and doing drugs, and there were times where we had to try to figure out how we was gonna get this rent money, and by me being 14 at the time, and that was the time that the crack epidemic was hitting, and on my block, you can just go out there at any point, and if you had something on you, you can get rid of it. And so when I was starting to enter high school, I felt like the best course of action for me to start paying bills and to start having money in my pocket and start having the type of things that I wanted was to get out there in the streets, because it was right there for me. It was readily available, and the streets embraced me, and I didn't look back, until my misfortune. And after that, I figured out, that it was all part of my journey. And like I said, I wouldn't change any of it. I wouldn't change any of it, because it made me the person I am today. So
I'm just kind of taking this back. And I'm not going to talk all about the crack epidemic. I'm not going to
right. No,
make
yeah.
that the focus of this, because the focus is you. But I would be remiss in saying that East St. Louis is in the middle of America.
Yeah.
Somebody had to bring the crack there.
Oh, of course. That's a whole nother thing. We all
Right.
know that. And, I get so tired of, and I'm going to tell you what I've learned, throughout my studies. When I came home from prison and I started going to school, and I'm in school, and white privilege is a thing. It's a real thing. And I'm sitting in classroom with the professors, they're teaching it. The students, they're learning it just like I am. And I'm one of, few of my kind in these college classrooms. And I'm just like, wow, people, they hear it, they understand it, they know it's real. But when the classroom is over with, we have this struggle with it. Does it really exist, or are Black people just lazy, or do we just not do enough? But we've been disparaged for years, and I'd be remiss if I didn't speak on that, because I'm talking about it from an angle to where when I was growing up, and we would come to Fairview Heights to go to the mall, you better believe your ass getting pulled over. You're gonna get pulled over. And it's sad to say, when you go to spots like Belleville, Illinois, or Fairview Heights, or O'Fallon, and even to this day, we still deal with that. And so, because nothing was there for us, we had to leave out, to journey out, to do things. And when you're young and you're seeing that, and you're like, wow, is this how the world is? You feel like you're living in this microcosm. But as you grow and you figure out, wow, this is how the world is. So we're at a disadvantage. But that's not to say that we can't rise above it, because that's what this is about. And that's what this looks like. This is what living a lifestyle of doing things that aren't accepted legally, and that aren't accepted morally, to figuring out what it is that you can do to better yourself. And I think that's something that we don't do as Black people, as Black men. And that's what I always want to try to teach our young Black men, this young Black generation, to reach. You got to reach, because it's there for you. You don't have to be the guy that's always been known for, people used to call me Coach. That was my nickname, and the famous phrase, everybody always be like, put me in, Coach, and I don't miss that at all, because that was part of who I was. But I know that my journey is deeper than that. And everybody doesn't get a chance to see this. Everybody doesn't get a chance to go through this in life, but I'm definitely here to tell people that we have to reach. And not only us as as men or individuals, but as a village, as a nation, we have to reach out as well. So, when we're going through things and we think that, there are plenty of people that I know that, when they come home, they're like, man, I'm not going to college. I can't get a job. So they settle and, they'll work at a car dealership as a car salesman, or they'll work the typical jobs when black men get out of prison. They'll get a job at the steel mill, and they'll get a job at these factories, and that's no shot to them. That's kudos, because for one, whatever they're doing to make themselves better, I'm all for it. But I also, on the flip side, want to give people an opportunity and a chance to know that I am a resource, because at this point I've done it. I know that you can go to college and that you can get degrees, and that you can get a license, and that you can get hired. Everywhere I've worked, I've had to get fingerprints, background checks to work in a professional setting. And I have to work.
Hold on. I love that, but I still got to let them know, you know what, you already to the end. I got to pull you back. There were too many layers for us to rush past this. We are going to sip this wine. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Or should I say tea, however you want to put it. Yeah. Okay. So we were to the point where your mother was, decided to relieve her pain with the drug that was on the drugs that were on the street. And I think the point that I was making is that selling drugs sometimes lends itself to the ambitious person, but those drugs don't get there by themselves. They have to be flown in. And then taking drugs is people are looking for an escape. It doesn't make them a bad person, but the pressures of life can, lead down that road. And someone may believe, particularly at that time, because no one really understood the potency and the addictive nature of crack.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. To this day, you can look back on it and be like, wow, who knew that that epidemic would do this much damage to our neighborhoods and our communities. And, that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason, because hindsight is 2020. So, looking back on it, it's like, wow, it was a lot of damage done.
People still today, I'm not telling anybody a formula. I think it's just already out there, though. Yeah. They put the crack into the marijuana, and then they put it in formaldehyde, and then they thought that was a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. And you didn't know the effects of it. It was something new. You didn't know that later on down the line, it would have such an impact on the community.
Right. And so when I drive through any neighborhood and I see dilapidated houses,
gentrification at its best.
Right. Well, no, not just that, because we'll have to go down the real estate in another time. But I will say, when I see a dilapidated house, I know that there used to be a family there.
Yeah.
And so when I see that, I see broken hearts. Because there is a reason why that house is dilapidated. That is broken hearts, broken families, and destroyed futures. Because that house and that land was hard. It was hard work to get land 9 times out of 10 when that house was generally bought. Because remember, if you were buying a house as a Black person in the 50s, 60s, 70s, come on now, redlining was serious, and you had to work really hard to get that money.
You were somebody.
Exactly, you were somebody at a house. In that, and so I just wanted to kind of shine a light on that idea. There are people who are associated with those houses now. So you're being raised by your grandparents. Your mom's in the picture, but she's on, drugs and whatnot. Your dad, he does care about you, but he has a family in another city. Plus, he is in the military. Bam.
Yes.
Okay. I got the picture set. And you're a smart guy. You're an industrious guy, and you want to look good, feel good. And you meet somebody. Yeah. You meet somebody, and they introduce you
Mm-hmm.
to the game. You said you want. They said you want to look good.
Yeah.
You said I want to look good.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my homeboys. He's
Yeah.
he's not here with us. He's actually incarcerated. So I'm going to keep him safe. But we were in the 9th grade, and it's so funny. It was the end of the 9th grade, and he moved here from Detroit, back then, and he came to class, and he had a little vial on him, and he was like, "Hey, Whit," he was like, "You know what this is?" And I was like, "No, tell me what that is." He's like, "If you go," he's like, "you can go anywhere and get rid of this." He's like, "And you do that, you can bring me half, and you can keep half." And I was like, "Man, I don't know what to do with that." He was like, "I'm telling you, you always talk about you want them starter jackets, and because in the 9th grade, that was what was in, Air Jordan starter jackets."
Oh yeah,
And,
not a starter jacket.
Yeah. And so, and then we had gang members up there. I grew up in a Vice Lord neighborhood, so we had gang members used to come up there, snatch kids' starter jackets, and my boy Mario, free Mario Taylor, man. That's my boy. He'll be home in another year now. He would come up there and he'd be like, "You all right? You all right? And anybody mess with you, let me know." So I was like, "Well, shit, I know somebody got my back." So I would go to my neighborhood, and I remember the first time they saw me out there, like, "What you doing out here?" And I was like, "Man, I got this," and they was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah." And from there it was on. It wasn't no trying to not get me to do it or not, it was just like, "All right, well, you out here, we got your back." And I sold all of it, went to school, and gave my boy his little piece, and he gave me mine back and was like, "You want some more?" And I was like, "Hell yeah." So and I mean, we're kids at this point, you know what I mean? Like, we're 14, and it's I'm just doing what I'm thinking is right because I'm having money in my pocket, and I'm not understanding the magnitude of this or how it's going to shape up to be in my life. So that's something.
I gotta take a pause point, and when I do this, it is because I want to share what happened. There was a young man who was doing something with his life, did not necessarily realize the magnitude of what he was doing. Because imagine if that wasn't drugs that he was selling, that he was actually selling newspapers, okay? Or any other thing that was legal. These are people who have ambition, who are trying to make something of their life. They see it as a come up. It takes effort,
an opportunity to do better.
An opportunity to do better. I mean, if drugs weren't illegal, if drugs were not illegal, these gentlemen would be thought of as hard workers, brilliant minds, industrious.
Look at marijuana right now in the state of Illinois.
Exactly. That's exactly
at one point it was against the law. So does it mean morally it was wrong because it was against the law? And now you got these rich people who can just open up a shop, and now you can just walk in and get what you want. And it's like, wow, it's not illegal anymore, but is it immoral? So who sets the tone for all of that stuff? It's not an excuse, but it's who sets the tone for that, and who benefits, who profits, and and who suffers when they can't get access to things like that, or when they can't do things to put extra money in their pockets. So at certain points in times, we just fall victim to a lot of these things and don't even understand the magnitude of it, because we grow up in a city, we grow up in this microcosm, we grow up and we feed off of each other, and we're disparaged. So we just try to do the best we can with what we have. And as my life, went on, and, I got to high school, and, I figured, like, wow, I started making a pretty good amount of money, never wanted to compromise my integrity, never wanted to compromise being a good person, but like Kendrick Lamar said on one of his albums, good kid, mad city. And it's just what it was, a good kid growing up in a place or an environment to where it's survival of the fittest. And what do you do, especially when you don't expect to make it in life? I don't have any fears. So, in my world, the things we were doing, we already anticipated not living not living to get past, 21 anyway, and when we did, it was just like, okay, we made it past that threshold, it's whatever. And then, as time went on and, we got heavier and heavier and, we started doing things like real estate and building record labels. And you find out at some point, once you're so deep in the game, it's kind of hard to turn back. Went to college. I left high school and went to Jackson State. And but from there, I met some guys, from LA, and moved out to LA and figured out that things were a little different out there, and that, we can do things from there to here. And, and that's when it all broke loose. I was 23 riding around here in a 600 Mercedes, paid $90,000 cash for it. We were young out here.
Stop. You paid $90,000 at how old?
I was 23. We was out here getting money. We wasn't playing no games.
Wait a minute. What car dealership sold you that car without any questions? I just want to know.
Yeah, I can't put nobody on blast like that. It's over in St. Louis, but you know what? It's a way you can do everything.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you something. Money talks and BS walks. You learn quickly when you're dealing with people and you got a lot of money that they want your money and they'll help you clean it up. Other than that, they're money laundering, so they'll help you clean it up.
Okay, I got it. I'm glad, I'm so glad I asked that question, because that is a form of money laundering. It's enabling. It is enabling, That's very
much so is. Who's going to turn down a young black guy with $100,000 worth of jewelry on who wants to come in there and buy a car, brand new? And at that time, the city was kind of, it was one of them places to where, if you had money, you were set aside from a certain demographic, especially if you were young with money, and people roll with that, especially when it was time to, especially if it was something beneficial for them, and we kind of had our shit together, and another one of my buddies, 𝐻𝐿, shout out to 𝐻𝐿. He's locked up right now. That's my ace, free 𝐻𝐿 Paulette. That's my dog. That's my homeboy. I love him to death. And we were buying houses together, and we were young, just in the real estate business, and we learned a lot of things when we were young. And we decided to venture off into music, and that's what I moved out to LA with, and we started doing music, and tried to get this record label thing going. And like I said, at some point, we were just in too deep. I mean, we were making money hand over fist. I mean, we were millionaires off of the game, and that's not something that people don't know. That's public record. I didn't went to jail and did my time. I ain't telling nobody. I stood my ground, and not saying that it's I'm not saying if you're a regular citizen and things are happening and, hey, I can't say, no snitching. But at that point in time, for me, that's something that we didn't practice. We didn't do that. And that's just my integrity, because, from where I'm from, you take your lick. If you got something going on, you take your lick, and that's it. And
criminal integrity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the same time, East St. Louis ain't gonna play with you. So I didn't have time. I'm not the type. I don't tuck my tail, so I wasn't gonna come home and be known as somebody who was out here snitching and telling, because I love my kids too much. I love life too much. So I figured if I wanted to do something instead of getting back in the game, then I would have to change my life around, and that's something that I did. And it was hell before I went to prison. My mom passed away a week before I left going to prison. And, when I buried my mom on a Saturday, I cleaned her house out Sunday, I turned myself in Monday, and I got sent all the way to Texarkana, Texas, to federal prison, and so, I did my time in there, and I got a lot of homeboys from in there that's watching, and, even a couple of homeboys that was from down there came into my graduation and saw me, when I got my bachelor's degree, and when I got my master's degree, and, now I'm working on my doctorate degree, and I'm, about 15 credits out from that. And so I decided when I was in there, though,
hold on 1 second. We got to roll you back.
Go ahead.
I can't let you fast forward. I can't let you, we're going to miss something. Okay.
Tell me what you
So you go, so you you go to college, you don't graduate, you buy
Mm-hmm.
your $90,000 car, and you are hanging
That
out.
was the first of many $100,000 cars. That was
Right.
like
And you,
that was nothing at that point in time. You know that
I
we did
got it.
that daily.
It was on it. And how
Yeah.
many people were in your crew at this time?
In my crew at that point in time, my boy, rest his soul, Lamont, he's gone now. That was my dog. My partner that's locked up right now. We all grew up together, and we were just on it. One of my buddies from over in St. Louis, when I came home, he got killed. His name was Eric Brown. We call him EB. So we were all out there getting money together, and I mean, it was some more of it. I'm gonna tell you,
Okay.
like
It was some more of it.
it
All
was some
right.
more of it.
So you had your St. Louis crew
Yeah.
that y'all went and did it, and you did it with the LA thing. And now you
Yeah.
said the people out in LA did it a little bit different. How's that?
Well, I mean, when you talk about LA, I mean, prices are different. So, back then, we might go out there and get a whole, a block for like 13 and come back here and you can get rid of it for like 23, 24, so that was crazy to us. We didn't understand the magnitude of like, why is that here? And, we had to get it from there to here and, things like that. So it was a lot going on during that time, and we were young too, going out there. We started going out there when we were 18. I was in high school. We was flying out there. We were the cool kids in school, and I vowed never to go back to being a dirty little kid. And by any means necessary, whether we got killed, whether we died, whether we had to kill for it, no matter what happened. That was our mentality, because you got to understand and you got to realize when you growing up in a place like East St. Louis. People get killed every day. So what makes you think you're exempt? Especially, we weren't from households with good working parents. They may have been good people, but our mentality was like, I got to get my mom up out of this shit. I got to get my people up out of this. And there were times when I started doing my thing, I was buying everybody houses and cars. From my mom to my grandma to my aunt.
Where did you buy the house? Where did you buy the house? Did you buy the house in East Boogie, or did you?
Yeah, in East St. Louis. In East St. Louis, that's where we were from. So
So you did not buy them a house outside of the microcosm. You bought them a house within the same bubble.
Yeah. You got to stay rooted, and not only that, how older people are. My mom didn't give a shit how much money I had. My mom was thugged out. My mama was East St. Louis to the death of her. I'm talking about my mama was like, boy, I'm not moving from out here. You can move up there with all them fancy damn people. I ain't going nowhere. That she would say it just like that. My grandma and them, my aunt and them, they weren't interested in moving away. They felt like they'd done the best they could. And here I am now, and I'm doing well enough to just, shell out, 40, 50 grand and get everybody a house a piece or fix it up. We had real estate businesses. We had construction companies. We had a lot of shit going. So, those were the things at that point in time that were working for us to where we felt like we made it, especially when you're doing things for your mom and your family. That's a great feeling. We all over the place. We moving here, there, we had places in LA, we had places in Miami, we had places in Texas, we had places all over the place, so this was always going to be home base no matter what, and the love you get from being here, once you get big and people know who you are, it's the love, but all of that to say this, that's what led to where I am now, I don't want to keep talking about that to glorify this, because after I left prison, while I was there, I took this class called the RDAP program, our residential drug abuse program. And I was teaching some of the classes, and I was doing some law work for some of the guys in jail, and they was all, used to call me East Boogie, because, in the Fed joint, they label you by region. So everybody called East St. Louis East Boogie. So everybody used to be like, East Boogie, when you get out, you should do this. You should, you should go to school. You should. And I used to be like, yeah, I'll figure it out. But, by me having my children, and shout out to all of my kids' moms, they believed in me, all of them, from my ex-wife, I just recently got a divorce, and she's an amazing woman, amazing human being. We were together for 21 years, and I took that woman through a lot of things. And I can't do nothing but right now give her kudos. My son, mom, my other son, and my daughter's mom, and my daughter's mom in Arizona, they never put me on child support. They believed in me. They believed in me. My word was everything. So when I was gone, and my kids would still come to my house, and I had 4 different baby mamas and a wife, 3 different baby mamas and my wife. So, and I didn't play about my kids. All of my kids were there with me. Even when I came home, they spent just as much time as at my house as they did with their mom, equal amounts of time. And we always called ourselves a unit, And so my biggest thing with changing my life was to give my kids a chance. I felt like I gave all of these grown people a chance. I helped everybody out, when I had the money, when I had the means to. And so at this point, I come home and I'm like, who am I going to do it for now? And to see all these beautiful babies growing up. There was a time where I felt like when I first came home, and after I got off the halfway house, I was at the halfway house on Colt Brilliant and Kings Highway. When I got out the halfway house, the federal halfway house, I told my PO, I said, I'm going to go to school. She's like, what you going to do? I said, I'm going to go to school. She said, Whit, you know how many people I lock up for saying they going to school? I said, listen, I'm going to go to school. That's my plan. I don't want to go get no job nowhere that I know if somebody pissed me off, I'm going to end up japping out. And then here I am. They're going to report me to you. So
that's not going to work. Wait a minute. Hold on. Because we're going to get there. So then you go, you have this big lifestyle. You're at a point where you can buy everybody anything they want. Okay. Fine and dandy. And your music, is it you actually own a record label? Is that right?
Yeah. We had a record label, COD Records. I mean, we were around here. We were doing shows. We were opening up for people. I used to have some of the lunatics at the studio. I was working with this cat, DJ Bishop. Actually had 𝐷𝐿 at the studio. It was 𝐷𝐿 at the studio. Had this song I did with BG from Cash Money Records called "That's Us, Dog." The same DJ 618 who broke Nelly stuff. He used to play my music in the clubs, and it was a lot of love. You know what I mean? We was doing shows out of town, going to Atlanta, and it was an independent label, and we were just out here just trying to make some noise.
So about how old are you at that point?
At that point, I was about 26.
About 26.
26, 27. Yeah.
26, 27. Yeah. How old were you when you got married?
Well, when I got married, I want to say that was 2006. So give or take, what is that? 15 years ago. So I was 31, perhaps.
So got it.
But we've been together, since we actually met in '93, and then I left, we parted ways, and then when I came back, and when I moved out to LA, I came back, and we reconnected in like '99, 2000 or something like that. So, but we didn't get married until 2005, 2006 actually.
Okay, great. So she's still rocking with you this whole time. You got this big life. You're doing all these, things. You made some babies along the way, but still, this was the one.
Yeah, absolutely. And to this day, I got that girl back, and she got my back, and we've been recently divorced now for a couple months, but she's an amazing person, and I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. There were some things that I did that I could have done better, but that's all a part of this journey. That's all a part of life. That's all a part of figuring out where I'm supposed to be and my purpose, and that's what all of this is leading up to.
Amen. So hold on. So we got that. You have this big life. You meet the woman. You go back to the woman of your dreams, and then you guys are living the family life, but you are still selling drugs.
Yeah.
You are still selling drugs. Did you have a standard job? Did you have a standard job?
Well, no, we own businesses, so
got it. You own
things. Like nobody's working. You creating payrolls.
You creating
So
payrolls, okay?
yeah.
So basically, you have your drug side, but you have all these businesses that are
Mhm.
generating money
Yeah. Yeah.
too. Okay,
Yeah.
I got
Mhm.
it. You were what is that? You are at Godfather 3. You were
I guess some people will probably roll with that. Like I
right,
said, these days I'm just, I'm just letting humility lead the way. And
right.
I deal with my homeboys and a lot of people. They tell me a lot of stories I don't even remember, and some of them I don't even want to remember.
Well, the
But
reason why I say that is because Godfather 3 was about going legit.
oh,
You know,
okay, okay. Well, yeah,
that's
yeah.
what,
There we go.
yeah.
There we go.
That's what Godfather 3 was about. And then we skipped over a part that I wanted to make sure I mentioned, because when you started selling drugs when you were 14, but
Hmm.
when you were 16, you actually tried to get a standard job. And not only did you have one job, but you had two at one time. You had the spirit of
Oh man, McDonald's downtown East St. Louis. Oh my God, I think that was probably everybody's first job. And then we ended up working at this spot in St. Louis called a Spaghetti Factory. And me and one of my partners, Yellow Boy, Ryan Mallett, I'll never forget. The buses stopped running one night, and we had to walk across the Martin Luther King Bridge to get home. And that night I decided right then and there, like, nah, I ain't working nowhere else. I'm not working
Oh,
nowhere
you was like,
else.
absolutely not. This is for the
I
birds.
was like, nah, now we got to do something different, homeboy. So, yeah, shout out to Yellow Boy. Shout out to Ryan Mallett, man. That's my dog, man. We go way back too, and it was just one of those things to where, I figured, like, at this point in time, I'm not finna waste nobody else's time. I'm not finna waste my time. Rent's due. And then we was making like $3.75 an hour at that point in time.
Right.
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm not wasting nobody else's time. Like, hell, if I'm gonna die on the streets making some money, not getting hit by no car walking across the Martin Luther King
Mm-hmm.
Bridge. And if you know
Mm-hmm.
anything about the Martin Luther King Bridge, ain't no sidewalks or nothing. You just walking
Mm-hmm.
across that bridge and just hoping not to get hit. So that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me, man. And
Okay. You know what? I did not want to forget to highlight that point, because all along, what I'm seeing consistently is your work ethic,
yeah,
your desire to be the best that you can be.
yeah.
That is what, and basically what I'm hearing throughout your story, you all in, no matter what it takes, you are going to be everything that God put in you. And it's just really different avenues that you're taking to do that. Okay, so I had to highlight that.
No,
Bam.
no, and I appreciate that, because those that's exactly how it is. I try to stay away from spewing out what I feel like I know I'm doing, because I don't want to seem like everybody always think I'm arrogant anyway. But I didn't want to highlight certain things, because it is that way. And anybody that knows me know I got a hell of a work ethic, like, no matter what it is. And I think that that's the reason why I'm successful today. And that's the reason why I was able to leave prison. And I left in 2008. And like I said, my mom passed. I went straight to prison. I couldn't process that in there. I got in there and I had to do exactly what it is I had to do to survive in there. I did 3.5 years in there, came home and did my little 6 months halfway house for a total of like 4 years. And I came home and I just decided that I was going to do something productive, do something that felt natural to me,
Right.
and
You know what? One thing, listen, we also air on LinkedIn as well as a bunch of other different channels, but
mhm.
please note the transferable skills, family.
Yeah.
Please note
At this
the
point, Erica, and
transferable
I thought,
skills.
about that. I said, I know this is a platform, but that's where I am present day. I've worked so many different jobs. Coming home, I didn't know when I got home I would have to write colleges and ask them why to let me in because I had a felon, but I didn't care. I didn't care. I knew that when I told my PO that I was going to do that, She told me if I had 4 years papers, I had 4
Mm-hmm.
years supervised release in the federal system. She said, if you get your associate's degree in 2 years, 3 years, I'll let you off papers. I got my associate's degree in a year and a half, and she honored that. She honored that. An East St. Louis federal probation officer. She honored that, and she let me off probation. And, you know, that was kind of like my ticket. And don't get me wrong, you know, were things still in place for me if I wanted them? Yeah, of course. I still had plenty of connections at that point. And, you know, I felt like, ooh, I'm off of papers. I can do whatever I want to do. But I had to stop and pause on plenty of occasions to think about my children. And that's why I was talking about, you know, my children, their mothers, the support they've showed to me, my ex-wife, the support she showed to me coming home, and just the way that people embraced the fact that they knew I was going to change. My homeboys in the hood, you know, it was a little different for them at first because they like, yeah, you're not going to, we just waiting, you know, we just waiting. And as time went on and everybody saw the transformation, everybody saw how serious I was, how much I struggled. Hell, when I first came home and after, you know, I was in school and I was living off of financial aid. You know, I was living off financial aid because I wanted to focus full time. I wanted my kids to see me at home on the table every day. I came home to the point to where I was helping my daughter with her math problems. And I was like, Jesus, I could never get help with none of my math problems when I was in high school from nobody, you know, so that felt good. That motivated me. That kept motivating me. You know, there was times I was taking my son to football practice, you know, and didn't have any money, you know.
Hold on. I can't let you lick. I gotta pull you back.
Go ahead.
So determination, resilience, transferable skills, and a man of your word. I love that about you. I love that about you. So you have these businesses and you're running them. Everything is going good. You're a family, you're a family man, and life is right.
Yeah, life is right. Life is good. Life is good at this point.
Life is good. And is the record label still going on at that point or no?
When I came home, no.
No, in 2006. We're in 2006 right now.
Well, no, 2006 is when I got indicted. And so at that point, everything stopped. I stopped everything cold turkey. Everything.
So did you marry your wife before or after you got indicted?
I married my wife after I got indicted. I got indicted in February. I got indicted in April of 2006. And we married in May of 2006.
So I'm wondering, was that something to protect the unit because you had built this unit for a long time?
Well, yeah, that was always in the plans, you know, but that wasn't something that,
but it pushed it, made it more urgent.
Yeah, it made it more urgent. It was kind of informal. I remember I came home one night and I was, you know, I had this epiphany and I was just like, hey, I want to get married. We need to get married. I want to marry you. She's like, okay. I was like, all right. So, you know, so we set it up and I flew like 50 of our family members and friends out to Las Vegas and we got married out there.
Y'all did that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get indicted in 2006, but you don't go to jail till 2009. Is that right?
No, 2008.
Okay.
No, so what happened was it was called a sealed indictment. So at that point, you know, they indict you, they seal it. They don't let you know, they don't give you any information. They basically try to supersede you and catch you up on other charges while you're indicted so they can supersede you. But I stopped cold turkey. Everything I was doing, I just stopped. Everybody knows that. My homeboys, everybody. It was just like it was over. At that point, you know, I even knew that at that point, like that was the end of that era for me. That was the end of that era, you know. And then to this day, that was the end of that era, you know.
Okay, bam. So you stopped cold turkey the moment you got indicted.
Yes.
They work on your case and they really can't get anything else. So they finally
got me on what they got me on. Somebody set me up, was wired on me and for like a half a kilo, and they were wired up on me, and that's basically how I got indicted.
Got it. And so then in 2009 is when you actually go to jail, right?
Yeah, yeah. 2000 and no. 2008 is when I went to jail.
Okay, so you
In
actually go
2008.
to jail in
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah, a lot of motion of discoveries, a lot of filing this, a lot of filing that. Then you have to get do pre-sentence investigation reports and then sentencing dates. So it was a lot of things getting pushed back. That's just how court is. I mean, federal court, it could take a year or two. State court, hell, sometimes it could take 4 or 5 years before you even see your jail time because court days get pushed back. You file different motions. The judge, hell, might be on vacation. The judge might have other things going. So your lawyer might have other things going. It might be a conflicting dates, things of that nature. So so I left in 2008, and I came home right at the end of the beginning of June, but I didn't get out the halfway house until like right after Thanksgiving, so the beginning of December, something like that. So
I got it. Hold on.
of 2011.
2008. Tell
Mhm.
me about the week you went to jail.
Yeah.
Tell me about that week.
So I had gotten my the place. You get a letter in the mail letting you know where you got to turn yourself in because I had a self-surrender. So I finally got it in the mail. It was telling me I was going to Texarkana, Texas, and I was like, they sending me all the way to Texas? Like, it's plenty of places around here, but because of my point system and all of that stuff, I was eligible to go to a camp. It was my first time getting locked up. And so I spent a couple of weeks at it's a low facility there. And then until I was in receiving and discharge, and then ended up going to a camp. But that first week, now I was sitting on the porch with my aunt and my mom. We thought it was her that kept calling, but it was my niece that was calling. And come to find out, my mom had passed out. And so me and my aunt went to the hospital and met my mom down there. And when we got down there, the ambulance was just getting there and they were trying to revive her, but my mom ended up passing. And that was a week before I went to prison. So like I said, that following week, I had her funeral Saturday. I cleaned her house out Sunday, and I turned myself in Monday. My lawyer, she tried to give me more time, but I was just like, nah, I just want to go ahead and, get this over with so I can come back home. And, I don't run from my problems. I don't run from anything. And I try to take things head on. And that's been my life. That's always been my life. That's always been something that I've taken pride in, just tackling things head on and not cutting any corners with them. So that's what happened the week I went to prison. And, that was a big inspiration behind me changing my life around as well, because I wanted to come home and I wanted my kids to see me working. I wanted them to see me doing things that was prosperous. I wanted them to see me doing things that encompassed integrity, because I didn't want them to know me as that guy, and as the street dude, as coach. I was pops, I was dad, and we were a unit. And I must say
How
that,
old are your kids? How old are your kids at that time when you're going away?
when I was going away,
Like when the week of 2008, when your mom died and you go to prison,
Yeah.
how old are your kids?
So my son, my junior was 7. My baby girl was 3. My oldest was 13. My son was 11, and my daughters were 9, I believe.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So the oldest child is 13.
Yeah, at that point, yeah. Diamond Morshak, yeah.
Yeah.
She's 13.
And I know there had to be that moment where you're looking every kid in the eye and you are going to sleep with your wife in the bed and you guys are leading up to that day. Yeah. Okay. You are organized. You're a man, so you are organizing the house and things in the house.
Well, to a degree, it wasn't that simple because we lost our house. They did an asset forfeiture, and I was out of almost $1 million worth of assets and cash. So I had to forfeit about $1 million worth of asset cash, lost my house. So we were just kind of like riding the wave, trying to figure out what to do next.
Well, where were you sleeping? Were you in an apartment?
We were at the house. We were at the house while we wouldn't move until we found somewhere else. And I wasn't going to move them out. And we ended up finding a villa that they had just built these places. And I was able to get the villa before I left. And I'll tell you what, we moved in that villa. Also the first week, the same week my mom passed, we moved in that villa as well. So
this is a pivotal week.
Yeah, it was a pivotal week. It was trying times. But you know, we had to put work ethic and we had to put what was real over emotions at that time. And we had to just get things done. You know, we had to get things done. I had to make sure my wife was okay. I had to make sure my kids were secure. And like I said, at that point in time too, my dad, he had started kicking in, and he was there for me. He was a support system for me as well.
So your dad was one of the people who started putting in financially. Did any of your other, your partners that you grew with?
Yeah. My boy 𝐼𝐸, like I said, my boy EB, they were all helping out. And, and then when I was locked up, EB he was taking thousands of dollars to my wife to help her pay the rent, to send me money. They were looking out, they did the best they could. A couple of my buddies helped out with, keeping the taxes up on some of my properties, the ones that, didn't get taken. And, so it was, I had a pretty decent support system, but that was the gift and the curse, because, you come home and everybody's like, I know you're ready. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't think I'm going that route anymore.
Because they had invested. So your wife, when you left home, did you feel like your wife was going to be financially secure with the children?
I knew that my character and the person I was and the people that were in my corner would make sure that she was okay. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say that she was going to be living the lifestyle she lived before, but, I knew that she would be okay enough to make it, the time while I was gone. A lot of things had happened in between there. A lot of people that I thought was good people to me. And I still love them to this day. Some things occurred, there was a lot of money missing. There was a lot of things that came up, gone. And, but what do you do when you come home from jail? It's like, if I'm going to get back in that lifestyle, then I'm going to track all of that down. But if not, this is the time where I really have to think about my future, my kids' future, and what it is that I want to do, to help, to be an asset and not a liability, especially to this world, to these young men out here, to my neighborhood. And so that's where I decided to, put my focus on just, moving ahead and not focusing on things that happened in the past,
So that week, did you have a conversation with your oldest child? Did you have a conversation with them?
I didn't have a conversation with any of my children about it. A lot of them were young, and it's funny, when I came home, my son, he knew I was rapping, and he said he thought that, they would come and see me. And so it was a camp-like setting. And, you try to tell that lie, like, oh, I'm in school and this and that. But I never was that person to say that. I let them know where I was at. And, my son thought I got locked up because I was a rapper. He thought I was a gangster rapper. So that's what he said he thought I went to jail because of my gangster rap music. And I was like, nah, kid, it was a little deeper than that. And it could have been worse. And so I look at everything. I look at all of that as a blessing. Because I don't want people to sit here and be thinking, oh, this guy was heavy, but all he did was 4 years. Let me tell you something. I was blessed, and I understood that. And so, I knew that this guy that I've been knowing forever, that set me up, I wanted to be mad at him so bad, right. and I wanted to, you know how street rules are.
Yeah.
But what I learned, though, is if it wasn't for that happening, he was very pivotal in me changing my life around, whether he know it or not, whether those were his intentions or not. I think he caught a case, and he was facing like 30 something years. And, he told on a lot of people, I'm not going to say I'm so forgiving and like, oh, I forgive you. But at the same time, I'm also not stuck in the past. I'm also not dwelling on that. And if that's the lifestyle that I wanted to incorporate and take on again, I'd take that on. But at the same time, I know as a Black man out here in this country, in America, it's already hard for us. So, wherever I go, whatever I do now, I try to have, integrity with doing it. And, I'd say this all the time to my wife and to, my kids' mothers. I might not have made the best choices as a husband. I might not have made the best choices as a boyfriend. But I guarantee you, as a father, as a role model to my kids, and as a man moving forward in this day and age, that the decisions and the choices that I'm making right now are going to catapult me and those that love me and those that I love to a place to where, I wouldn't have been able to do it if I was in a different mindset or if I was somewhere else. So mentally. And so I'm in a good place mentally. I'm in a good place emotionally. And at this point, my aim is to just continue to move forward and to be the change in this world I want to see. And that's always been one of my biggest, things and my biggest quotes. Coach Love, I thought money was everything, and one of my other favorite quotes is, if you think you're not rich, count all of the things that you have that money can't buy. And when I look at my children and the relationships that I have with their moms and with my family members and with a lot of my friends, then, I'm rich. I'm rich.
Wow, that's beautiful. If you think you're not rich, look at all the things you have in this world that money
cannot buy.
Cannot buy. You know
can't
what?
Give me, you can't all the money in the world. You can't present me with all the money in the world right now for my kids. Like, you just can't. You can't do that. So what's money? What's rich is a mind state. Rich is in the mind, rich is in the heart, it's a way of living that has absolutely nothing to do with money. It doesn't.
Okay. So your kids, you did explain to your kids where you were and what you were doing, and you know what? It sounds like they were stable. Your wife, she was able to survive, and she had some kind of income for herself. She was running a business.
Hair salon. Still to this day. Yeah, still to this day. She does hair. She does well. So
they were not. So they weren't. Going to be impoverished, but it was just your presence was gone. So now you coming back home and you with your PO, and she don't believe you.
Yeah, she didn't believe. She believed me now. She
want to know what is a good thing she didn't believe you, because you got paper. You got paper sooner.
Yeah, I did. And the funny thing about it, she offered me to come back, and I came back and I was guest speaker three times at the federal courthouse, to where, I was just one of those success stories that they felt like it should be heard, whether it was for political reasons or whatever it was still my people. And I wanted to show up and show out and let them know, because a lot of them that were there, that were getting out of prison at that time, they knew me and they were like, what the hell is this fool doing in here? And it's like, yeah, this is what this fool is doing. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like when you reach and when you dig deep, and when you refuse to, fall victim to back to the streets. I'm not perfect. There were times, of course, I thought about it. There were times where, temptation was right there, because it was that easy to do. It was that easy for me, and at this point in time in my life, there were times where I was financially, messed up. But I just kept digging. I kept digging, and I kept digging. And people see me now, and and God has been so good, and life has been so good to me with, getting all these jobs and degrees and all of that stuff. So when I go places, especially in the corporate world, and I see how the politics are, and I see how things can be so corrupt and so messed up, I ain't going for it. Because at this point, I'm like, wow, this is the same thing, but in a different arena. So, I don't compromise my integrity when it comes to anything. Am I a human being? Do I fall victim to some things at times? Yeah. But at the same time, if I wanted to still be doing a whole bunch of messed up stuff, I could still be out here in these streets. And it's already hard on us. And for me to be a Black man, how many times I've been called to HR, like, how did you slip through the cracks? Or, how many times I've been called to HR because people don't like my brutal honesty. It's hell for a educated Black man to be in a world where a lot of people look at you like you're not even supposed to be here. But I don't take no for an answer, and I don't let anybody decide what my destiny is going to be and what's going to guide me. If God puts it in front of me and he tell me that it's mine to have, I'm going to conquer it. And that's just that, and so I get a lot of people saying, oh, I'm fascinated by your story. I'm fascinated. I say, you know what? I appreciate that. But God is the one who put me in this position. God is the one who knew that I had strength enough and courage enough to make it through all of these adversities. He's the one that knew I had the resiliency, not me, because if it was up to me, I wouldn't give a shit. I'd be dead by now. But to come home and work on to get my associates, my bachelor's, my master's, and now I'm working on the doctorate, and I'm a licensed therapist by the state of Illinois, like that's a big deal. These aren't small feats, and they're not something that happened overnight. So I'm here to tell everybody, even, and this is, there's no special case. I ain't getting no pardon. I'm not somebody, I don't have connections. I just believed in me. I believed in me more than anybody could ever believe in me. So it doesn't matter if people tell me good things about me or bad things about me. I believe in me. And all of the things that you spoke on earlier, as far as, my work ethic and, being resilient and having all these things, elaborate plans in place for business, I guess it was in me the whole time. And God knew better than me. He knew a better path for me than I did. And so that's where I'm at right now in my life. I'm knowing and understanding that every time that there's an obstacle in my way, it's supposed to be there, and I'm supposed to go through it and not around it. And that's how I live my life, and that's how I'm gonna continue to live my life until I'm no more.
Wow, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. And I keep focusing in on your character, because that is the one key thing. That is what's going to travel with you no matter what arena that you are in on. Your character, And that is, if someone asked me after reviewing your story, what made the difference, why you? That's why you. It is the characteristics and that you bring to the table, that sense of resilience. And as a matter of fact, there is something called AQ, and it is your ability to change. Okay.
Yes.
That is that is the thing that makes you have the ability to pivot. It's called adaptability quotient.
Absolutely.
Mhm. And that is what you have. That's, quite honestly, I need everybody to know that's what employers are looking for. They're looking for your adaptability quotient. That's one of the things that they want in an employee. That's what a business owner needs to have. And so you got the right stuff. So I'm talking about transferable skills. I'm talking about character, because what you're going to find in Aaron, and what we need to find in ourselves, is that type of character, so that we can make it in any situation that we are put in. Our situation and our circumstance is not what's going to make us. It is what we decide to do about it. All right. So, Bam, we are grooving and moving. You've already made this change, but it was hard times during making that change, because you were used to having a lot of money.
Yeah. But I mean, but I wanted to be rich.
Right.
So I thought that money meant being rich. And
Right.
now that I know it doesn't, whether I have a lot of money or not, I'm still rich. My kids, they text me every day. They call me every day. We in a group text. We're in a group chat. I talk to the people I love every day. They encourage me. I encourage them. There are so many important pieces in my life right now that doesn't mean money. That doesn't mean money. And money doesn't equate to riches. It just doesn't.
The reason why I brought that up is because I want to highlight that you had that your character and had to keep being tested. You had to continue to make that decision over and over and over again, not to go back to the arena in which, made you comfortable. So you had to leave the comfort of the culture,
Yeah.
okay? The culture that you knew that was yours, okay? That you
And
were,
let me
that,
tell you, let me tell you something, Coach Love. We all fall short of the glory, but at the end of the day, it's what do you do what do you do when you feel like there are things that you could have done better or that you should have done better? Do you sit there and continue to feel like there are things you could have done better or should have done better, or do you just do better? And I think that a lot of people get that misconstrued, especially I take addicts. For instance, when I counsel some of my patients or clients who have substance use problems, I always tell them relapse don't mean stay lapsed. Just because you went backwards don't mean you stay there. And I think that's what a lot of us do. If we make a mistake, it's like, oh hell, well, I might as well just continue to spiral out of control. And you don't have to. And people could label you bipolar. They could label you, oh, you don't know what you want to do. You don't know this, you don't know that. But that's not the point. The point is you have to make sure that you're doing what's best for you, what's best for your family, while all the time keeping your character and your integrity intact. And what's integrity? I've taught my kids this. Integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. And even if you fall short, that don't mean you have to stay doing the wrong thing. You can pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and continue on that pathway, because if not, then you'll stay stagnant. And I think a lot of us, growing up in these communities, we think that doing the wrong thing is a rite of passage. And that's where we get it twisted at. We think that going to jail or getting shot, or, we'll hear people be like, "Man, you ain't never been shot. You ain't never been to jail." We think that's a rite of passage. And that's functioning in dysfunction. And I think that at some point in time, these messages and these words need to be heard to a lot of our young people. These are things that we have to continue to let them know that it's okay if things happen and you mess up, but you have to pick yourself up and you have to keep going, because you don't want to get to where you're functioning in dysfunction. You have to keep working toward that goal. You have to keep working towards your purpose, no matter what occurs in life, no matter if you fall short or if you ahead of the game. Keep pushing, keep reaching. And once you keep reaching and you get to a point to where you've reached a good point in your life, then reach out.
Thriving and surviving are two different things. Thriving and surviving are two different things and two different skill sets. They really are.
Yes.
So, bam, you are starting to go down this education route. You're in this situation where you're not having as much money as you used to have.
I ain't broke though, Coach Love. I ain't rich, but I ain't broke.
No. I'm not there yet. I'm talking. I mean, you're at a station in life where your education has started to bring you fruit, but you had
absolutely
to get there.
Yes.
You had to get there. And so what I want to talk about is that transition period. Yes. That transition period where that old arena is chasing you, right? You get out, that old arena is chasing you. People are giving you opportunities, ready to fund your game, get you restarted, right? And you told me a story that illustrates this perfectly about one day, well, actually several different times, when you were taking your son to football practice, okay?
Yes.
And you were worried about putting gas in the car and all of these kinds of things. Tell me about that period.
Yeah, those were trying times, and my pride, wouldn't allow me to do it. And not only pride, I wouldn't even say pride. I would say my belief. And what I mean by that is I believed wholeheartedly that when I decided to change, that if I depended on God for everything, I'm gonna tell you something. It's lonely being in jail and I'm 600 miles away from home, and you lay there and you pray and things happen. And you're like, wow, I left and I thought that nobody would make it without me. I was taking care of so many people. I was doing so many things. And the good Lord was like, listen, you think you doing all of that? I'm doing it actually. So,
Amen.
So when you're in there and I ain't sinning, I ain't, I'm in prison. I'm walking the straight and narrow. I'm eating right. I'm getting my health together. I'm getting my mind right. So when I pray, my prayers are being answered. They're being answered because it's coming from a righteous place. And when I learned that, and I knew and understood what having faith meant, and what just believing meant, I felt like that could those were transferable skills. So when I came home, and there were times I didn't have money to put gas in my car. Me and my son would be riding a football practice, and I'd be praying, and my thing would say 0 miles to go, and I go anyway. And during that time, I met some good people in my life. Shout out to Marcus Myers. It's one of my good friends I met, post-incarceration. And he was there for me. He works as a correctional officer at Pinckneyville. A good man. And it took him a while to tell me what he did for a living, because he knew I was fresh out the joint. So he didn't disclose that. But when I asked him, I said, "Why you never told me that?" He's like, "You never asked." But he has a heart of gold, and he's a man of integrity, of high integrity. And we be at those games, man, and that man would give me $5. He give me a handshake, and it'll be $20 or $50 in his hands. And he was just looking out for me, as a brother. And there was no big eyes and little U's. There was no pride involved. And I'm like, man, I used to have millions of dollars. Now, I don't even have $20 in my pocket. And it was a place to where, I didn't want to get caught up on the things I used to do or the things I used to have. I just wanted to stay focused on the path that was in front of me and ahead of me. And I stayed the course. And life's good. God's good. My kids are thriving. Everything is going well. I'm about to have, I'm a dissertation of 15 credit hours away from my doctorate degree. So I'm here to tell everybody, if you've been through some things, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, reach. And when you get to a certain point, reach out, keep reaching. And this is one of the things that I've always told my boys, especially in trying times. Don't just be extra. Don't just be ordinary. Be extraordinary. Be extraordinary.
That's beautiful. I want to go back to you and your friend that you met post-incarceration.
Marcus, yeah.
Marcus.
Yeah.
Because it was rough, because there were times that you would be at your son's game and you said you'd be hungry.
Yeah, wouldn't even have food to eat, and
right.
And he laughed about that. He's so humble. He'd be like, "Oh, big dog, I ain't tripping off that." I'm like, dude, like, small things go a long way. And I'd be out there, and we was working out together. I was a big old joker, so I wanted to eat. They had Chick-fil-A at the games, and I'd just be playing like I ain't hungry. And it would be it's hard to believe that at some point there was a point in my life where I didn't have anything financially. I didn't have anything financially. Because in my mind, like, what was the old saying? I die for this ish. Like, this is we gonna ball till we fall. That was the whole mentality. It's like, oh no, I'd rather be dead or I'd rather be dead in hell or in jail before my pockets fail. Those were catchphrases.
Wow.
Those were catchphrases that that shaped the way we were as we were growing in the game, but after that, and after I figured out, like, sometimes it just takes a little faith and a little patience. And that's definitely something that I gained while I was incarcerated, is faith and patience. And yeah, I know a lot of people do a lot of time, and and that's messed up. But like I said, I'm not gonna sit up here and glorify that, and I'm not gonna make that a rite of passage. Hell, my best friend, like I was telling you, Iko, he got 25 years, and I wouldn't wish that on nobody. He ain't in jail like, oh, hey, you only did 4 years, I got 25. Whoop-de-whoop. One of my buddies, Emil Lewis, he's in jail right now. Shout out to Emil, free Emil, good guy. These are good guys, that just we in this system, we in this city, and we get caught up doing things because we got so many responsibilities on our head. We got so many responsibilities on our back, and we just want to see people around us thriving, but at a certain point, like I said, I had to stop, and I had to say to myself, I'm not the type of person to be caged up. I got this here, it keeps going. So I don't want to be in a cage, because I'm the type of person, if something happens to me, I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to hold my own. And I had two choices. Either I could, get back in the game, and if something happens, if I get a buku time, then that's what it is. Or I can say, nah, I'm not the type of brother to be caged up. That ain't who I am. I feel like the world needs to know me. I feel like I need to encourage people. I feel like I need to share my story. I feel like there are a lot of things that's rattling around in his head that needs to get out and that needs to be heard. And I'm on that journey, and I'm on that path, and to God be the glory, man. To God
Amen.
be the glory.
Amen. You said something earlier, and it was about the Black community, but I want to highlight this. A lot of things happen to the Black community because of the lack of value on that community.
Mm-hmm.
But the Black community is not the only community that doesn't have a lack of value. For instance, the poor, and when you're in rural America,
Mm-hmm.
it's like any community, regardless of race. If that community is not valued,
Mm-hmm.
then you can expect something predatory to happen to that community. So I also think there are like Rust Belt communities,
Yeah.
okay? Um, Small towns, or if you look at how the epidemic of it's what opioids have
Mm-hmm.
flown through these at-risk communities, and so they're communities that can be isolated and then preyed upon. And there is a point where a community will become prey, and the rest of the system will almost like feed off of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Black community may be one community that happens to, but it happens all over America. And quite frankly, it happens all over the world.
It
So
does.
we have to look at our loved ones. We have to look at the people around us and not act like crabs in the bucket. To your
Right.
point,
That's
we
right.
have to lift one another up. And we have to stop looking at things happening to us and look at how we're going to push through them.
Absolutely.
We really do. We really do. Okay. So you got this friend, you're at this the games and stuff, and you are making it, and you go to school and you graduate, and you get that feeling of that robe on.
And,
Bam.
and Marcus is so instrumental, and I know it's just a small part of the story, but he renewed my faith in mankind.
Yeah.
Here I am. I felt like I was doing a lot of good to my family and friends, but also, I was at the bottom of the barrel. At the end of the day, I was dealing drugs. So there was nothing that's good about that to say, to uplift me and make me a hero about any of those things. But as we talked about before, when you get to talking about integrity, and when you get to talking about what's this versus that, does my family starve, and by any means necessary, if I'm putting my life on the line, no matter what it is I'm doing, I'm willing to put my life on the line for it. And so these are the opportunities that were presented to us growing up that made us feel like, oh yeah, we can do that. It's a lot of running jokes about, okay, if you Black and you grow up poor, you better learn how to play basketball, football, rap, dance, sing, or sell drugs or something. That's, it's a joke, but it's not a joke.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be afforded those opportunities. And when you talk about different pandemics in different cities, and it's funny you spoke on the opioid crisis, because the opioid crisis is one of those things that it's been going on for a while, but it gets a lot of attention because when you think about opioid addiction and, who does it affect them a lot? It affects veterans a lot. It affects a lot of, heroin is a rich man's drug. It affects a lot of people who are in high places. It affects their families because it affects their children. And so then laws change because of those things. And so, but when you talk about crack addiction and things that happen in the Black community, a lot of times people just let it play out, and a lot of times there's been a disparity with people going to prison because of that, as opposed to other addictions where people get a chance to go to rehab. And so, coming back full circle, what I say that when I'm, coming back full circle, speaking on Marcus, and when I say he restored my faith in man and humanity and mankind, is because here's someone I didn't know from Adam. And I had this, no new friends mentality. And he's a genuine, good human being, just trying to make sure that I continue to stay on the path that I'm on without getting pissed off or upset that I don't have these small amounts of things, $20 for gas or $10 for food, that would put me in a mindset to where I got to go get it. Those 20 and $10 and $50 here and there, that meant a lot to me, and that kept me on my path. That kept me going. That kept me. The encouragement behind that is what kept me going. And so it's small things that as we go through life, and we decide that we don't want to move forward, or we decide that we're ready to give up, it's the small things like that we have to take advantage of and pay attention to that will help us over that hump. You know what I mean? There's a threshold to everything. And it's those little things that kind of, okay, now go ahead and keep pushing forward, big dog. That's our word to each other, big dog. Go ahead and keep pushing forward, big dog. And it's little things like that. So, we shouldn't take those things for granted in life, and we do. We're in a society where, things have to be so big. Everything has to be over the top, and it doesn't. We could take these small things, these small steps, and they're even pivotal and play a major role in the path that's leading up to whatever success is waiting for us. Because at the end of the day, success is waiting for all of us. We just have to reach.
I could not agree with you more. We all have a light inside of us. We just have to allow it to shine.
Yes,
we have to allow it to shine.
Yes.
I want to say this because the people who are in power have to understand your pain. And if that is not happening, then that's how you know that you're being marginalized. You will be marginalized when people do not understand your pain. So it can be about race, but it also can be about poverty. It can be about sex. It can be about ageism. It can be about autism. Your station in life. I'm very interested in anybody who has a disability, or I'm interested in autism, and I'll tell you why. Because it's the kind of thing that people can look at as a gift and a curse. I was watching some documentaries, and it's about how a lady understood she had autism, but she was high functioning. And she really felt marginalized because of how people were trying to teach her.
Yeah.
Fortunately, her mother, she had one parent who understood her pain and one parent who did not understand her pain. These were the people in power for her.
Wow.
Unfortunately, her parents ended up getting a divorce, but her mother decided to live her life in a way that made her thrive. Today, she is a CEO of a company, and that she's doing marvelously. but she had to have somebody who understood her problems
Yes. Yes.
to help navigate her. And it wasn't that her dad didn't care about her. Her dad simply didn't understand.
Yep.
Her dad simply didn't understand. And so I want us so much to acknowledge that maybe your skin color matters, or your zip code matters, or your sex matters, or however it is. Those things matter, but they matter because there's a lack of understanding. That's why, that's why it matters.
Well said. Well said. I appreciate this platform. I appreciate you being interested in me. I appreciate these things that have occurred to me throughout my life, because we are misunderstood. We are misunderstood in so many ways. This culture, the things that we go through, people who have been in prison. We're very misunderstood. People who grow up poor, people who grow up, in low socioeconomic status environments. I definitely think that the biggest thing and the biggest handicap that we may face with this world is the fact that people just misunderstand. And so that's why at some point, I'm here to preach to my community, to my culture, that let's make them understand this. Let's show up and show out and continue to push forward, continue to be positive, continue to get up. If you fall down, you don't have to stay there, but just continue to push, continue to push. And
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, so let's head on down the road. Help us understand why you kept going to get your doctorate. I mean, come on now.
All right, so we're gonna segue into this last little thing. When I got my master's degree, my thing was, okay, all right, I could go ahead and get my LPC, get my LCPC, start a practice, and I could just kill it doing therapy that way. And but you know what? I felt like there was something else that needed to be completed. And it started out, I'm not gonna lie, it started out just me being on I'm gonna get my doctorate degree just because I want to get my doctorate degree. But it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. It's to continue to show people that you don't have to stop. You don't have to stop until your time is up. I feel like as long as I'm here, if life is a board game, then get me to the dragon so I can slay it.
Okay.
And I ain't slayed the dragon yet. So I'll stop when I slay the dragon.
Okay, bam. So you're gonna stop when you slay the dragon. What does slaying the dragon look like?
On my way up top. When life is over. Because I'm the dragon.
All right. Oh.
So I'll stop when it's over for me. That's when I'll stop.
Oh, wow. That's very insightful. All right, therapist, behavioral therapist.
Hey, all I can do is tell the truth.
There you go. That is amazing. You know what? Let's give a little tease, because we've already talked and discovered that there is so much more about your life that needs to be known.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Your son.
Yeah. Yeah, my son, you talking about resiliency. My son had a stroke when he was 15, a day before his 16th birthday. D1 football prospect. This was about 3 years ago. No, 4 years ago. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Boy's 20. He's 20.
Right, but 20. Okay, so we're not going to break it all down, but we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. And then, and then my daughter, she's battling She's battling cancer right now. She's resilient. Resiliency run. And you know, I say, and I look at my past and I say, thank God that he took me through all of this so that they could see what it looks like to make it through whatever hardships you're going through in life. So, you know, shout out to my baby. Shout out to Diamond, Marshay. Shout out to Travis. Shout out to Ariel. Shout out to Aranye. Shout out to Aaron Jr. Shout out to Ariana, Peanut, my baby. Y'all are amazing. Y'all make me who I am. Y'all have given me the strength to make it this far. Without y'all as my inspiration, without y'all as my motivation, I wouldn't be here. I tell them that every day. I love you guys, and it's more to come, man. Y'all be watching out. Look out for me. Aaron Witt, you know, I got my daughters working on all of my social media stuff. I'm kind of new to this stuff. So, you know, I got a couple of books that I'm working on. You know, the main one I want to kind of push is from, you know, from drug dealer to Dylan, you know, to doctorate, you know, from the courtroom to the boardroom. These are just little things that I'm working on. So just, you know, I'm just grateful right now. And I'm grateful for this platform. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for, you know, just all of the people in my life that have played a pivotal role in helping to shape who I am. And most of all, I'm just, you know, I thank God for taking me down these hard roads, because that lets me know that I'm a warrior for real. You know, you think you're a warrior when you're in these streets, but when God give you a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of obstacles to overcome, and you don't give up and you push through them, then you know for sure you're a warrior, and you know your purpose is going to be served no matter what. So I'll be around.
You bet you will. You bet you will. And we're going to cover your divorce after 21 years.
Yeah, it's something, you know, that made me, you know, that made me who I am to this day too. And like I said, I have the utmost respect for Katina, my ex-wife. She was very pivotal. She played a very pivotal role in who I am, in saving my life, keeping me grounded, because Lord knows without her, I'd have been reckless. And that's funny. We talked about that, you know, after we got divorced, and we was just like, wow, you know, it was hard trying to figure out like, what the hell we go all these years for? And then all of a sudden, like things start, you know, going astray. But we both know and understood that we both have a purpose-driven life. And we played the roles we were supposed to play. We played the parts we were supposed to play. And the movie ain't over with yet. And we both know that.
Right.
Yeah. So,
you got that right. All right, man. So really, when I tell you there's much more, we're going to even dive into how in the world he gets his whole team to work together. I'm going to use a you know, a social term, baby mama, but he's a baby. Baby mamas don't have no drama. Okay.
yeah, man. Good people from, you know, Tijuana and Tamala and Keisha, you know, they're all amazing women. You know, we all may have had differences, you know, but at the end of the day, we all are still a unit, you know. From our children to us, you know, we're a unit. And, you know, and one thing that we know we have in common is the fact that we want to see all of our babies thrive. And we never put that before, you know, we never put ourselves before that. And that's been a beautiful thing all of these years too. So, you know, shout out to all of them too. You know, they've also helped shape me and make me into the person who I am today. And, you know, to my neighborhood, you know, to my homeboy, Lil Mook, to, you know, my boy Dennis, to, you know, just everybody that's played a pivotal role in my life, man. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you, and God bless you.
There you go. So what I'm saying, family, is just get ready for more. Get ready for more. Know that Aaron is coming back. You can tell that this is an amazingly interesting man, a man that is passionate, and he just has a lot to offer. Not just him, but his whole family. So get ready to unpack this. Aaron, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you as always. You're amazing. And you guys keep checking out Dr. Love and, you know, a lot of the things that she has going. And she's an amazing person. She's a great conduit. And I appreciate you. I appreciate the platform. And I appreciate the Almighty for sending you my way, because she
Oh, my
still won't tell me how
pleasure.
she know me and how she heard of me. But,
Oh my
you
God.
know,
You gotta whisper
but
something
hey,
in my ear. How
I'll
about
take it.
that?
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything. And that's it.
That's it. Listen, family, thank you for watching. I always appreciate everybody for sharing this time. Listen, I'm gonna go out old school. You know, I'm so glad we had this time together. Absolutely. So, audience, know that I'm singing to you. I appreciate you. Thank you for the love. Bye bye for now.
Bye for now.